Every legend has a story. Welcome to Goal Uncovered. Some defenders protected the game. One defender transformed it. Franz Beckenbauer wasn't just one of football's greatest players. He invented a new way to play. He became the Emperor. The player known publicly as Der Kaiser occupied a position designed purely to destroy. Traditionally, defenders existed to prevent goals, remaining firmly anchored behind the play to clear incoming threats. Yet, Franz Beckenbauer saw the pitch differently, stepping far beyond the traditional limits of the penalty area to orchestrate matches. He separated exceptional defending from the mere act of destruction, proving that a player stationed at the back could become the primary playmaker. This tactical evolution changed football history. How did one defender completely redefine the game? On September 11, 1945, just months after the Second World War ended, Franz Anton Beckenbauer was born in Munich. He grew up in Giesing, a modest working-class district where resources were scarce. Lacking proper equipment, the boy practiced on the streets with wool-covered balls and converted ski boots. His father, a practical postal worker, insisted on secure employment, leading Franz to start an insurance apprenticeship in 1959. But the teenager left the office in 1961 to chase his football dream. Lacking a heavy physical build, he relied on intelligence. During a 1958 youth tournament, an opponent named Gerhard Koenig slapped him. Angered, Franz refused to join his dream club, TSV 1860 Munich, signing with their rivals, Bayern Munich, instead. By 1964, after scoring over 100 goals in the youth system, he made his senior debut, ready to change the sport. In the mid-1960s, football tactics revolved around rigid, defensive structures. The dominant system of the era was Italian catenaccio, which deployed a safety valve behind the main defensive line. This extra defender was the sweeper, or libero, meaning free. In Italy, players like Armando Pichi performed this role as pure destroyers, anchored close to their own goal to block shots and clear loose balls. The global consensus was absolute. Defenders existed to destroy attacks and remain behind the play. But under coach Rudi Völl, Beckenbauer dropped behind the defensive line and completely reinterpreted this space. He turned this passive barrier into an active offensive engine. When opponents attacked, Beckenbauer used his spatial awareness to sweep up danger. The moment his team won possession, he transformed. Beckenbauer stepped out of the penalty box, carrying the ball directly into midfield. He glided past the first line of pressure with balance and composure, instantly creating an extra attacker in the center of the pitch. From this withdrawn position, he used his passing range and vision to dictate the tempo, launching long, precise passes that carved open opposing structures. He maintained absolute defensive security while establishing creative control. Enabled by his elegant movement and tactical intelligence, this hybrid role was entirely unlike the conventional physical defender of the era. By turning the lowest position on the pitch into the team's creative heart, Beckenbauer redefined the boundaries of the sport. In the late 1960s, Bayern Munich was still a rising force, fighting to establish its place in German football. Franz Beckenbauer became club captain for the season from 1968 to 1969, immediately guiding the team to its first Bundesliga title. He was surrounded by a strong generation of talent. Goalkeeper Sepp Maier, clinical striker Gerd Müller, forward Uli Hoeneß, and defender Paul Breitner formed a formidable sporting core. On the pitch, Beckenbauer controlled the team's emotional temperature. He offered a calm first pass out of defense and established an extra midfield passing route that consistently broke the opposition's pressing structure. By 1972, the club moved into the Grand Olympia Stadion, a visual representation of their expanding scale and power. Bayern captured 4 domestic league titles during this period. This domestic foundation secured their path to continental dominance, culminating in 3 consecutive European Cups in 1974, 1975, and 1976. This historic continental hat-trick constructed a lasting football dynasty, permanently establishing Bayern Munich as one of Europe's premier institutions. At just 20 years old, Beckenbauer stepped onto the global stage at the 1966 World Cup in England. Operating as an attack-minded midfielder, he demonstrated his goal-scoring threat early in the tournament, netting 4 times, including a brace against Switzerland and a powerful strike past Soviet goalkeeper Lev Yashin in the semi-final. Though West Germany fell 4-2 to England in extra time during the final, his elegant vision and composure captured international attention. 4 years later in Mexico, redemption began in the quarterfinals when West Germany overturned a 2-goal deficit to defeat England 3-2. But it was the semi-final against Italy, played in oppressive, draining heat, that forged his legendary endurance. In what became known as the game of the century, Beckenbauer dislocated his right shoulder in the 70th minute. With his team out of substitutions, he refused to leave the field, playing through the grueling extra time with his arm strapped tightly to his torso. Though Italy won 4-3, his silent defiance under intense physical agony established him as a leader of immense resolve. The peak of his international playing career arrived in 1974 on home soil. In the final, West Germany faced the revolutionary total football of the Netherlands. Organizing the entire match from the backline, Beckenbauer countered the fluid Dutch movement with calm, calculated authority. The West Germans secured a hard-fought 2-1 victory, and as captain, he lifted the World Cup trophy. His path from a promising prodigy to a battle-tested champion was complete, cementing a playing identity defined by composure, endurance, and absolute authority. Football's ultimate individual prize, the Ballon d'Or, traditionally belonged to goal scorers and attacking magicians. In 1972, and again in 1976, Franz Beckenbauer shattered this custom. He did not claim the trophy through rugged tackles or desperate goal line clearances, but through absolute mastery of time and space. Voters recognized a defender who orchestrated the tempo, directed transitions, and created attacks from deep. These twin triumphs confirmed a new archetype of footballing greatness, proving that a defensive strategist could be the most elegant and influential player on earth. In September 1984, West Germany turned to Franz Beckenbauer to lead the national team. He lacked a formal UEFA coaching license, prompting the German Football Association to designate him as a team boss. Yet, his authority did not rely on paperwork. It stemmed from the same magnetic presence that had guided his playing days. He left daily drills to assistants, focusing instead on strategy, structure, and emotional management. His managerial resolve faced its first true test during the 1986 World Cup final in Mexico, where West Germany fought back before suffering a late 3-2 defeat against Argentina. 4 years later in Italy, under intense pressure, Beckenbauer steered his squad through a grueling knockout path. Captained by Lothar Matthäus, they reached the Rome final for a rematch with Argentina. Deadlocked in the 85th minute, Germany won a penalty. Matthäus, wearing ill-fitting replacement boots, declined the kick, allowing Andreas Brehme to strike the winner. This triumph played out against the historic backdrop of German reunification. The victory made Beckenbauer one of only 3 men, alongside Mario Zagallo and Didier Deschamps, to win the World Cup as both player and manager, carrying his vision from the pitch to the touchline. As tactical systems evolved and high-pressing formations made the classic libero rare, Franz Beckenbauer's defensive philosophy endured. Today, the modern ball-playing center back is expected to organize the rhythm, bypass pressure, and initiate attacks from deep. The composure and technical confidence of defenders like Paolo Maldini, Sergio Ramos, and Virgil van Dijk carry echoes of his pioneering spirit. Beckenbauer redefined the position, transforming the defender from a passive protector of the goal into an active author of the match. His authority was expressed without panic, his elegance without waste. He remains the emperor because he proved that leadership is defined by complete control. Will football ever see another defender who changed the game like Franz Beckenbauer? Legends aren't remembered for the goals they scored. They're remembered for how they changed football. This has been Goal Uncovered. Today, every modern defender still plays in his shadow. Will football ever see another defender who changed the game like Franz Beckenbauer? Legends aren't remembered for the goals they scored. They're remembered for how they changed football. This has been Goal Uncovered.